Chapter 3. I had 4 goodbye dinners and 2.5 days to have them. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. The girls, Louise and them, wanted to have a big going away thing, so that'll probably be its own thing. Cynthia DuPont and Celine wanted to host a dinner for me, which sounded like an event of its own. Simon wanted to take me out for a kind goodbye. We'd become good friends since working together that first month I was here in Paris. The last person who wanted to take me out was Julian, but he wasn't saying bye because he too is flying to America. When I called him out, he said he wanted to help me wish Paris a fashionable au revoir, which made me laugh. We're going to dress up and he'll take me to his secret spot that has a magnificent view of the Eiffel Tower. It'll be lit up nicely for the evening. I had to make compromises if all this was going to work out within my few days left. This is how I managed my time. I figured the girls wouldn't mind having a big lunch instead of dinner. I explained my situation, and they don't do shit with their time anyway. They don't work. They're like Sophia. They wanted to do the fabulous champagne and all that. I agreed so long as I'm out of there by 7 p.m., to make it to dinner at 8 with my boss and the interns. On my second and final night, I'll have dinner with Simon, and drinks with Julian later in the evening. Of course I had 2 separate outfits for the occasion. Different people, different vibes. And also just an excuse to dress up more than I need to. I can't help myself, even though everything's packed except for these outfits and my travel clothes. I have it waiting for me on the chair outside my room. It's like some weird haunting reminder of this strange countdown I've been subconsciously doing. With the girls and me it makes 5. I think it was Vanessa that made a reservation at this trendy place they frequent. We wanted champagne, so the reservation was mostly to guarantee that we get everything we wanted. Since in Europe they usually eat much later than Americans. I can't have a heavy meal if I'm going to make it to dinner tonight. Of course we're all dressed fashionable and feeling sentimental. We were in a perfect circle at the round table reserved for us at the restaurant. Clara, the blonde with a French political father, wearing her silver slip dress. Vanessa, the other blonde with her Monroe beauty mark. The craziest of the girls, in her 2-piece blazer and trousers. Amelia, our short-haired brunette, with big brown eyes and a chic green dress. And of course, Lucy, the lovely girl in a dress similar to mine. Hers burgundy, mine a dusty blue color. And that's the group. Girls with similar, large personalities. Self-assured rich girls. Flirty, funny girls. You know, Mia, when we first met you, you were a little more reserved than you are now. I think it looks good on you, Clara told me mid-cheers. Oh. Let's all make speeches, Amelia exclaimed. I told them it wasn't necessary, but when do they ever listen to me? They don't. Clara started us off since she was already saying a few words to me. Miss Blondie number 2 Sophia being number 1 even if she isn't here held up her flute. She stood, even though I was mortified in the middle of a restaurant. As I was saying, you came to us a shy American girl, and you will be leaving us a slutty French woman, she teased me. We all laughed and I covered my face in embarrassment. It only made them laugh more. Santé, she did the informal version of cheers with us. We all tapped glasses and responded chin chin, which I've heard them use before. It's the very shortened version of a proper French cheer, which isn't actually saying that word, but instead wishing good health on a person. Amelia stood next since it was her idea to do this in the first place. I think I speak for all of us when I say you will be missed, my friend. You and Sophia must return to us sometimes for a reunion. But I also want to say that you'll be signing my napkin tonight, so that when you become famous I can hang it on my wall, she teased me like the others love to. It made me smile. Sometimes they act so sure that I'll be famous. I will sign your napkin, I promised her. Because I'm not used to goodbyes, I was actually feeling this weight in my chest I wasn't expecting. My eyes blinked more, so I wouldn't tear up. They were silly toasts, but still it sums up our relationship as friends. Vanessa went next, smoothing her dress down before speaking. I agree with Clara, I think you have. How do you say sepanoyor in English? She looked at our friends. They tipped their heads in thought and Lucy spoke up. To light up, no, to blossom, she explained to me. Vanessa continued, I think you have blossomed, my dear Mia. You've accomplished much and should go on with your head held high. No more shy girl. You earn the right to brag, she winked at me. Last was Louise, who I knew would speak more thoughtfully. Standing up, she already wiped a tear, which got us girls to tear up too. We laughed at ourselves. I've never met a more fashionable and fun duo, since meeting these girls right here, until we met you and Sophia. You taught us to cook proper Italian food, even when this one over here was a poison in the kitchen, she called Clara out, who scoffed. I never viewed Paris as a tourist before, because I've always lived here, but through the eyes of you and of Sophia, I saw Paris in a way I never did before. Things we take for granted here. We've made some beautiful memories and taken even more pictures of those memories to last a lifetime. It is not goodbye, my sweet Mia, it is only good health and good luck until we meet again. Santé, Louise held her glass up. We all tapped glasses and said another chin before taking another drink. Okay, my turn, I told them. For some reason they didn't seem to consider that I'd want to speak. Everything you had to say here was beautiful, and a little slutty, I winked at Clara, who laughed. I continued, and Louise, I really liked your words about seeing Paris through a different light. I feel the same in the opposite way. I think if I hadn't met you girls so early on in my move here, I wouldn't have experienced Paris the way I have since knowing you all. I have a lot to be thankful for here, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you for teaching me French, eating too many baguettes with Sophia and I, and overall just being fun and funny girls who made my time here a little less lonely. Until we meet again, I said, and held up the glass. To humor me they said, cheers in English. We wiped some tears and gave a lot of hugs, but once the sad part was over we parted ways the only way they know how. With a bang. They popped a third cork of champagne and celebrated with me until 7 p.m. when I had to leave them. After more hugs, kisses, and promises to visit, I ran off like Cinderella and her magic carriage that was about to switch into a useless pumpkin. I didn't plan on showing up to Cynthia's dinner a little tipsy, but after all that champagne and laughter I felt the warmth below my flesh, and a smile played softly on my lips. I changed outfits and wore yet another fabulous dress. Less colorful and more chic, because I knew this restaurant. I knew it was more fancy rather than trendy and fun like my lunch had been. I've booked reservations for Cynthia and guests several times before, so I'm familiar with it. I've never actually eaten here myself. I ended up drinking more champagne than I did eat an actual meal, so I was hungry and ready for this. It was meant to be me, Cynthia, Celine, and my other intern friend Oliver. He always had me laughing, even in our most tedious of tasks. He's tall and wears bold suits. He's a good guy. 2 other workers would also be here. Writers who I accompanied on their visits to the runway, etc. I was the last to arrive, which surprised me. This crowd likes to be fashionably late. When I made that comment out loud they all chuckled. We told you a later time so we could be sure all of us showed up before you did, Celine explained. Nobody wants to walk up to an empty table at their goodbye meal, Oliver teased me. I was greeted by all and sat beside Celine, the sweetheart who's made my time here well worth it. Even when we were exhausted, running on fumes to get things done around the Vogue office, and through Cynthia's personal tasks. Celine Chen got me through it. I'm a little tipsy, I whispered to her. She whipped her head in my direction and covered her lips to hide her laugh. Where were you? She asked. When I explained she wasn't surprised. I actually brought Celine out with that group of girls before. Oliver leaned over me and asked, what are we talking about? Our group is nosy, but in the funny way that news just won't stay quiet for long. Cynthia was at the head of the rectangular table, and I was 2 seats away from that. Though we all spoke as a whole across the table from one another. What was your favorite part about Vogue? One of them decided to ask me. I smiled fondly at the thought. I always dreamed of working with Vogue at some point in my career. I wanted to design and stylist, so I figured if I played my cards right I'd make contacts who appreciated my work. I never guessed things would happen the other way around. Cynthia, you know because I always tell you, but she changed my life when we met at her husband's party. I glanced at my boss who was already familiar with my gratitude. Then I continued, looking around the table as a whole, I can't narrow it down to one single thing because Vogue and the people, you people, that I worked with along the way, were all a dream for me. If I could narrow it down I guess I'd pick what Vogue as a whole has given me, and that's confidence that hard work really can make dreams like mine come true. I never thought I'd be talented enough. Vogue gave me some of that confidence to say, hey, I'm Mia Fiore and I've done something in the fashion industry. I smiled and looked around at everyone as I spoke. Celine rubbed my arm and commented, nice answer. Oliver threw an arm around my shoulder, but addressed the table. I can tell you my favorite thing about Mia Fiore. She never slacked off, even when Karl freaking Lagerfeld announced her a winner, and swooped her away from us in the night, he teased. You're very humble and kind. I think it gives a lesson to all of us not to lose sight of ourselves, even in the presence of success, he finished. I thought it was lovely and thanked him. Because it is success, Mia, Cynthia cut in, leaving us all quiet. She's the boss. You mention luck more than you do talent, my darling. You take risks even if you don't realize that's what you're doing. You came to Paris without knowing anyone, even Helen herself. You met me at a party, whisking me away the same way I did you, even though it was risky to address Lady Dupont that informally. I know what they say about me, she smirked, insinuating that she isn't always the friendliest to others. It's what attracted me to you. I liked the boldness. I liked it even better when Helen sent me your portfolio, and I realized you had the talent to match it. That's why you're here with us. You take risks. You stay in Paris when you're asked, you sign up for campaigns in secret, until it's announced that you've already won. You don't settle, and you never should, darling. I haven't, and it's what got me to this point. I regret nothing, she tipped her wine glass my way before taking a sip. For some reason, her words to me reminded me of Dom. I made a risky decision, and I don't know how that'll affect my life later on down the road. For now it's led me into this exact success Cynthia is talking about. My designs became actual tangible clothing, and were branded as Chanel. I will always have that if nothing else. But there has been something else. Plenty more, thanks to both Cynthia and Karl who liked me as a person, letting me tag along through their experiences. And creating more for me. I guess I've never been able to make a decision that benefited my life without also losing a lot in return. I'm basically used to it. When I told my parents I wanted to go to fashion school, my father almost killed me when he tossed me down the long narrow staircase in our back hall. I had to lose my parents to gain freedom. Then with Christoph, I had to lose that freedom to stay with him for his support, until I realized I could have better. I lost friends and acquaintances by running from Christoph, but I got to go to school. Losses and gains, they come in a pair. I've never felt true happiness without the shadow of just a little bit of pain. I gained my dream experience here in Paris, and lost Dom. He wouldn't wait for me.